A civics video. How proper vote counting controls government.
The USA was put to paper in 1776 with the unanimous Declaration of the United States of America. Unfortunately, we refer to that contract as the Declaration of Independence. It creates the Union of States and identifies us, the governed people, as the controlling authority over the government we've created. The Declaration tells the world that our government gets its honorable power from the consent of the governed. In 1756, consent is defined as the act of consenting.
The general thought about voting is that not submitting a ballot is the same as yielding, abstaining, silence, or not voting. However, with the Declaration's contractual vote count term, the consent of the governed, the only way to yield or to abstain from one's right to consent is to give up one's right to vote. This is done by not registering as a voter, or by removing one's name from the voter registration. Yielding and abstaining are the same as not voting, but not submitting a ballot is not the same as not voting. It is the same as not consenting, which is a valid vote.
Consent is defined as the act of consenting, an agreement, an accord, or a meeting of the mind. The only way to get an agreement or meeting of the mind with a known number of people, such as a body of registered voters, whoever or whatever is on the ballot must get the consenting votes for more than 50% of the total number of registered voters. Thus, first past the post. The post is 50% of the total number. This also qualifies as the 1756 definition of plurality, more than one, a majority of the total. Without the consent from the majority of the total body of registered voters, it is supposed to fail for lack of consent. In the 1700s, people would register at the time they voted. The population was small and people knew each other. They voted by voice, yeas or nays, or by raising their hands. As the population grew, and we knew fewer of our neighbors, the voter registration was created. It is the complete list of people registered as voters. The voter check-in list is the list that determines whether or not a person registered as a voter received a ballot. The voter check-out list determines if that registered voter submitted a ballot or not, which prohibits a person from voting more than once. As the population grew even more, we even knew less about the people in our communities. We needed photo identification and proof of residency to vote. This kept foreigners and non-residents from manipulating our votes. Every registered voter's vote must be properly accounted for, as either having submitted a ballot, consenting to someone or something on the ballot, or as having not submitted a ballot at all, therefore not consenting to anyone or anything on that ballot. Thus, the consent of the governed phrase makes it impossible for a registered voter to not vote. Not submitting a ballot is not the same as not voting, but it is the same as not consenting, which is a valid vote. It eliminates the unpatriotic act of voting for the lesser of evils. The consent of the governed phrase protects every citizen's right regarding voting. We all have a right to not participate in voting by not registering. We all possess the right to abstain from any given ballot by removing our name from the voter registration. But once our name is on the registration of voters, we possess a vote. All too frequently, we allow our politicians to unjustly manipulate our vote count. They still violate the voting rights of qualified citizens taxpayers who are younger than 18. They count only consenting ballots. They ignore large numbers of non-consenting voters who refuse to vote for the lesser of evils and do not submit any ballot at all. And they reduce the numbers of consenting votes required, making it easier to put dishonest people into government. Remember, it is the majority of the total body of registered voters that is responsible for hiring and firing government personnel, especially when the internal checks and balances fail. Then, when we fail to control our government corruption grows to destroy our rights and our lives, as well as our neighbors' lives. When we enforce proper vote counting, over 90% of all the people in our elected offices will not be there because they never received enough consenting votes to be sworn into office. Our actual vote count shows our nation is strongly unified. We just lack the courage that comes with provable knowledge to enforce our votes. The next move is yours. Please pass this information along to others. We have strength in numbers. CleanHonestGov.com. CleanHonestGov.com is how we can get and keep clean, honest government.